Hi folks, Canadian Prepper here. So this is not going to be an update video, guys, but I come bearing some unfortunate news for any of you who knew this individual. I was acquainted with this individual several times throughout the past 6 months. We did many interviews on the channel, and you can go and watch those videos in the description section before, and I would encourage you to do that because they are more relevant now than they've ever been before. Unfortunately, Dr. Peter Vincent Pry has lost his battle with cancer and has passed away. And this is very unfortunate for a variety of reasons because he brought a perspective which was incredibly unique and rare, but well-informed, well-reasoned, and infallible, really, which withstood all scrutiny from many people who, were within the military, and nobody could debunk this guy. Okay, he had a wealth of knowledge about what was coming with respect to the war with Russia, and I'm gonna try to break that down today for you. He also had some warnings, with respect to what might be coming next, and this not only highlights the fact that life is short. We need to make sure that we're living it, because even Peter, as a prepper, as a person who understood the reasons to be prepared, and he understood the major threats that we face as a species, it just goes to show that, it's your time, right? So we must value, cherish, and immortalize these people who are willing to buck the trend, who go against the status quo, and who are making predictions and whose analysis of current events is at odds with what a lot of other people are saying, especially if their arguments withstand rigorous scrutiny, which his did. Now, I'm going to try to break down for you what his core ideas were, but I can in no way condense and do justice to all the information that was put across those 4 to 5 hours of interviews that we conducted with him over the past 6 months. And unfortunately, we're going to have another one not too far in the future here that was going to go into great depth about the Iranian bunker complexes, the North Korean situation and their military capabilities, and the China-Taiwan, how that would play out. All of this stuff, unfortunately, now we're never going to know. But thanks to the interview that I conducted with him, a lot of other channels like Valuetainment caught wind, picked him up, brought him on the channel. So he has been immortalized on the internet, which is good. At least we were able to get that knowledge out there. Now, the gist of what his warnings were that he cited a lot of historical examples, one of which was the Spanish Civil War, where he talked about how a guy named Adolf utilized this Spanish Civil War as a training ground for his troops, for his broader ambitions in Europe. And he tried to explain the current situation, the current quagmire, if you will, in Ukraine, with Russia's seemingly self-limiting and self-restricting military capabilities that they're bringing to bear there. Why is it that the Russians haven't brought but a substantial fraction of their military to bear to fight this conflict? They have not declared a general mobilization in spite of the fact that it's dragged on so much longer. Well, his theory was that perhaps the Russians are leveraging this as a training ground in order to get their troops battle-hardened for the much broader conflict which could flare up in Eastern Europe after this one. So his theory, which is one that I had never heard before prior to him saying that, was that this is all being drawn out so that the Russians can prepare for an even greater war. Now, I have my criticisms of this idea. And I mean, we could probably debate it, and I could hear both sides and sympathize with both sides of that debate. However, he also had some other very non-conventional ideas when it came to non-conventional war, that is, nuclear war. You see, we are led to believe that this thing called mutually assured destruction is a deterrence to any country ever wanting to engage in nuclear conflict. He talked about how low-yield tactical nuclear weapons could very well be normalized within modern combat. He talked about how the Russians and the Chinese have a completely different set of nuclear doctrines and are actually training and designing their military around actually winning a nuclear war. But you see, we are led to believe by a lot of supposed experts that grace the stage of legacy media and these pseudoscientific studies about, nuclear winter and nuclear fallout, which he also didn't believe was very likely nuclear winter, that is. We are told that nuclear war will never happen, and simply because of mutually assured destruction. But he completely breaks down and provides a wealth of evidence to suggest that not only do the Russians believe that nuclear war is winnable, but that in the current state of our military capabilities, that they would in fact win. And this is something that a lot of people took issue with at the time. However, I have not seen him be successfully debunked on almost any of his talking points. And in fact, a lot of that stuff has been corroborated by Lieutenant Colonel Jay Block was one of them, who didn't really disagree with a lot of what he said. However, he did say, I can't believe he's saying that, because a lot of that stuff, well, at least, from his perspective, still being a military man, is considered classified information, right? Now, Peter had an extensive history working with various government agencies, one of which, of course, was the Central Intelligence Agency. And some people might hold that against him in terms of, his speaking so openly about, this kind of thing. But I think we need to just take what we can when people are willing to share these unconventional ideas and these unorthodox takes on the nature of war, and especially nuclear strategy, because what he's saying runs completely counter to everything else that we're being told. And he provides a good reason, and he was one of the reasons why I now actually am preparing, not like specifically night and day preparing for nuclear war to happen, but he was one of the people who convinced me that not only is it possible that a nuclear war will be fought, but that either side thinks they can win. And he laid it out to show me the feasibility of how that is exactly possible. And also, I think that his explanations of what Russia is doing right now were a lot more astute than a lot of the really dumbed down takes that were being spoon-fed nonstop on the legacy media networks. Okay, so this guy was a one-of-a-kind perspective. I would encourage you all to go and check out those series of videos that we did. I'm going to post the links in the description. I'm going to pin the top comment, and let's immortalize this guy on the internet so that people can't forget and people remember the perspective, because I do believe that his views will be validated someday, unfortunately, in some respects. And maybe, hopefully by that time, people have prepared. I just hope that, I think what he was trying to do is encourage people to prepare, because what we are being told about how this war could progress and how bad it could actually get was that it was being dumbed down. Okay, and we're not being told the whole truth. So, and I think this is also a reminder to all of us that it doesn't matter who you are, it doesn't matter what you know, and it doesn't matter how much you prepare. Some things you just can't prepare for. And life is incredibly short, and you should not waste it just constantly living in fear of the future. You should be out there enjoying your life. Me, as the Canadian prepper, obviously this is a job, okay? And so if you were to do a job, you know, that would be a big part of your life, but it doesn't have to be as big of a part of your life. It should only be a small proportion of your life. Very similar to, you know, when you go and buy insurance, you pay for the insurance and that's it. You know, I mean, with prepping, you can make the argument that self-reliance skills is also a way of life, and that it can be a very wholesome and fulfilling way of life. And so in that respect, it's not a bad thing. And I know a lot of people who, they prepare, but they don't live like the end of the world is coming, but they're as prepared as they're going to be for that eventuality. So I just wanted to let you guys know about that, and hopefully we can get those videos circulating again, because a lot of them have been completely, you know, derailed by the algorithm. Unfortunately, some of them have 200,000-300,000 views. So we know that people are watching. We know that based on the watch time of those videos, people are very interested in what he's saying. They're watching all the way through. So I would encourage you, if you could, spread that information around, and yeah, stay tuned. I'll probably do another update video with respect to the goings on of the day. There is a lot of stuff to talk about, but I just wanted to do my acquaintance, Dr. Peter Vincent Pry, justice. Rest in peace, brother. Thank you for the information that you shared with the world. Take care, guys. Canadian Prepper out.